Strength doesn't shout. It doesn't need to prove itself. Calm people hold a kind of power that loud people rarely understand: the power of control. They think before reacting. They move with intention. And when the world gets loud, they stay grounded. Calm is not weakness. It's composure under pressure. It's the ability to stay logical when everyone else loses perspective. Most people react to life. Calm people respond. That small difference changes everything from relationships to leadership to inner peace. There are 4 things that define calm strength. First, calm people control themselves, not others. You can't control the world. You can only control how you meet it. When you stop trying to manage every outcome, you stop wasting energy on what's beyond your reach. You start focusing on your own decisions, your own tone, your own mindset. That shift gives you freedom. While others exhaust themselves trying to fix everything around them, you move efficiently by mastering yourself. Second, calm people don't let emotion make their choices. They know feelings come and go. Anger fades, fear lies, excitement exaggerates. The calm person pauses, asks, "Is this real or is this reaction?" Then they decide. Emotion can add color, but it can't lead. When it leads, logic dies. Calm power means you can feel deeply without being controlled by what you feel. It's emotional discipline, not emotional denial. Third, calm people protect their energy. They don't join every argument, chase every conflict, or explain themselves to everyone who misunderstands. They know that attention is a currency, and they spend it carefully. The loud demand to be understood, the calm focus on understanding. That's why they get more done with less noise. They save energy for what matters and let the rest fade. Fourth, calm people move with precision. They don't rush decisions or speak to fill silence. They act when action matters and wait when patience serves better. That patience is not hesitation, it's timing. The calm person knows that control without direction is chaos. Their stillness is not indecision, it's readiness. When they finally move, it's deliberate and usually effective. Calm power doesn't mean you never feel stress. It means you don't let stress decide who you become. It's choosing presence over panic. When chaos hits, calm people slow down instead of speeding up. They take a breath, watch the facts, and decide based on reality, not on fear. That ability to stay centered when others spiral is what makes them powerful. In conflict, calmness disarms people. You can't argue with someone who refuses to argue back. You can't dominate someone who won't react to provocation. Their control frustrates the emotional, but it earns respect from the rational. Calm people don't try to win moments, they aim to win outcomes. They know that reaction satisfies the ego but costs the result. Calm power also creates trust. In work, in family, in leadership, people follow those who stay steady. They know that even under stress, you won't break or turn erratic. That steadiness becomes reliability, and reliability becomes influence. Loud confidence fades, calm confidence lasts. The world rewards noise, but it respects control. The calm person understands this. They don't need to be noticed to be effective. They don't chase validation. Their quiet speaks louder than noise because it shows mastery. People remember how they made them feel safe, grounded, and clear. That's real power, stability in a world built on reaction. Calm power is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about meeting what's real without collapsing. You can't stop storms, but you can stop yourself from becoming one. The calm person doesn't fight every wave they learn to navigate. They know life is unpredictable, but their reaction doesn't have to be. If you want calm strength, start small. Before responding, breathe once. Before judging, observe twice. Before deciding, pause long enough to see clearly. That's how composure grows, through practice, not theory. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress towards steadiness. In the end, calm isn't a personality, it's a choice. It's what separates those who survive chaos from those who control it. The loud want to be heard, the calm want to understand. One fades with noise, the other builds through silence. And in every storm, the calm person remains the anchor, the one who doesn't move when everything else does. Most people talk to be heard, few talk to be understood, and almost no one listens. Yet the ability to listen, really listen, is what separates the reactive from the wise. The calm person knows that listening is not weakness, it's awareness. It's self-control in real time. When you talk too much, you stop learning. You repeat what you already know instead of discovering what you don't. Listening opens that space. It lets you see what's underneath the surface, the meaning behind the words, the emotion behind the argument. The person who listens more speaks better when it's finally time to talk. In any room, the one who listens holds the power. Think about work. The loud employee jumps in first, eager to prove they know everything. The calm one takes notes, studies reactions, and waits. When they finally speak, everyone listens, because their words are grounded in what actually happened, not what they assumed. The loud make noise, the calm make impact. Listening also makes relationships stronger. When someone vents, they rarely want advice. They want to feel understood. You can say more with one sentence, "I get why that upset you," than with a 5-minute speech. That's the difference between connection and correction. Calm people don't rush to fix, they aim to understand. Here's a truth that's uncomfortable for many. Interrupting is a form of ego. You're saying your thoughts matter more than the other person's. Listening kills ego. It forces patience. It trains humility. Every time you let someone finish without jumping in, you strengthen control over your impulses. That's not silence, it's strength. In tense moments, listening can completely change the outcome. Picture a disagreement. Someone accuses you unfairly. Your instinct is to defend. Instead, you pause. You look at them and say, "Tell me more about what made you feel that way." That single question shifts the energy. Now it's no longer a fight, it's a conversation. Most arguments die the moment one person decides to listen instead of react. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Speaking less keeps you from regret. Words said in anger can't be unsaid. Silence never needs an apology. Listening first doesn't just make you wiser, it protects your peace. Calm people don't rush to fill silence because they know silence works for them. Listening is also how you spot truth. People reveal themselves if you let them talk long enough. Their tone, their pauses, their contradictions, they all expose what's real. The calm person doesn't just hear words, they read intention. They see the difference between confidence and insecurity, honesty and performance. Observation replaces judgment. In business, listening is strategy. While others try to impress, you gather data. You learn what motivates people, what they fear, what they value. Then, when you finally speak, your words hit the target. That's how influence works. It's built on understanding, not volume. The loud demand attention, the calm earn it. Listening doesn't mean agreeing. It means collecting the full picture before deciding what's worth responding to. Most conflicts escalate because people argue against half the story. The calm person waits until they see all sides, then acts once, clearly, and rarely has to repeat themselves. There's a simple rule. If you want better conversations, talk less than the other person. Let them finish. Don't plan your reply while they're speaking. Don't one-up their story. Don't rush to prove you relate. Just stay quiet long enough for them to feel heard. That's how you turn surface talk into something real. Calm people listen with their eyes as much as their ears. They notice how someone crosses their arms, how their tone changes, how their breathing shifts. These signals say more than words ever could. When you start reading the room this way, you stop missing the truth hidden in plain sight. Listening also keeps you from emotional traps. When you let someone talk long enough, they often reveal their own contradictions. You don't have to argue, they argue against themselves. The calm person knows when to stay silent and let the truth expose itself. That's control disguised as patience. In daily life, this principle applies everywhere. With family, it prevents misunderstandings. With colleagues, it builds trust. With strangers, it earns respect. You don't need to dominate a room to influence it. You just need to listen carefully, respond thoughtfully, and know when enough has been said. The calm person doesn't fear silence. They understand that silence creates space for insight. Most people fill every pause because quiet makes them uncomfortable, but stillness is where understanding forms. The next time someone speaks, try letting 2 full seconds pass before you reply. You'll notice how your response becomes sharper, calmer, more accurate. When you listen more and speak less, you stop reacting to every spark. You start seeing patterns. You hear what people mean, not just what they say. And you realize that control in communication isn't about having the last word, it's about not needing it. So, talk less, listen fully. Don't compete to be right, aim to be aware. The calm person gains more from 1 minute of listening than most people do from an hour of talking. Because words may impress, but listening, that's what earns respect. Most people talk to convince, few talk to understand. The difference defines wisdom. When something happens, our instinct is to respond fast, defend, correct, explain. But calm people resist that impulse. They ask questions first. They know the fastest way to clarity isn't opinion, it's curiosity. Asking before speaking changes everything. It slows down reaction, it lowers emotion, it opens space for truth to show itself. You don't need to fill silence with certainty. You need to learn what's actually happening. The calm person starts with questions like, "Help me understand what you mean by that. What made you feel that way? Can you tell me more before I respond?" These questions don't just gather facts, they diffuse tension. People stop defending and start explaining, and when people explain, their real motives appear. Imagine a workplace disagreement. Someone criticizes your idea in a meeting. Your ego wants to strike back, prove them wrong, win the room. Instead, you take a breath and say, "That's interesting. Can you walk me through your concern?" Now it's not a fight, it's information. You've kept your control and exposed whether their point is solid or just emotional noise. The same applies at home. Your partner says, "You never listen to me." The old version of you argues back, "That's not true." The calm version pauses, "What makes you feel unheard?" That one question turns conflict into understanding. You can't fix what you don't understand, and you can't understand without asking. Asking questions is a form of discipline. It's choosing awareness over ego. It's refusing to assume you already know. When you assume, you react to your own story, not reality. That's why most arguments go nowhere, 2 people fighting 2 different stories. Calm people don't waste time there. They gather facts first, speak later. The Stoics taught that most anger comes from ignorance. We misread intentions. We react to fragments. We respond to tone instead of meaning. Asking before speaking corrects that. It gives you time to see clearly, to slow down enough to separate what was said from how it felt. Here's what calm questioning looks like in daily life. At work, before I give feedback, can you tell me what outcome you were aiming for? With family, I want to understand, what do you need from me right now? In conflict, is this about what happened today or something that's been building up? Each question does the same thing. It reveals the truth hidden under reaction. It also signals emotional control. You're not taking the bait, you're guiding the conversation with calm authority. The best communicators talk less and ask better. They don't need to dominate, they direct. Their questions cut through confusion faster than arguments ever could. That's how real influence works, not through volume, but through clarity. When you ask first, you disarm people. It's hard to stay angry at someone who genuinely wants to understand you. Questions soften defenses. They make people feel seen instead of challenged. And that's when the truth starts to come out. Asking also saves you from regret. Most words said in reaction are unnecessary. Once spoken, they can't be undone. But questions, they buy time. They give space. They protect relationships and your peace. Calm people don't rush to win moments. They aim to learn from them. Don't confuse asking with weakness. It's strategy. It's patience with purpose. It takes more control to stay curious than to explode. Anyone can argue. Few can hold back long enough to see the full picture. If you want to practice it, try this simple rule. Before responding, ask at least one genuine question, not sarcastic, not rhetorical, a real one. Then listen fully before adding your view. You'll be surprised how often your response changes once you actually hear the answer. Questions also reveal character. People who avoid them fear the truth. People who ask them seek growth. When you ask before you speak, you're signaling maturity. You're saying, I care more about understanding than being right. In leadership, this is rare but powerful. Teams trust leaders who ask instead of assuming. What do you think? Is a question that builds ownership. What can I do differently? Is a question that builds respect. Asking creates connection. Assuming builds distance. Calm people know. When you speak too soon, you lose control. When you ask first, you gain it. You shift from reacting to steering, from arguing to observing, from emotion to clarity. In a noisy world, curiosity is the quiet form of wisdom. So pause before you answer. Ask before you speak. Because every question buys you time, earns you respect, and keeps you centered exactly where calm power lives. Words are tools. Used well, they build trust, solve conflict, and show strength. Used carelessly, they destroy it. Most people don't realize how many problems in life come from speaking too fast, too emotionally, or without direction. Calm people understand this. They treat words like currency spent carefully, never wasted. Every word should have a purpose. Before you speak, ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve here? Do I want to inform, to connect, or to prove something? If your goal is unclear, silence is often the wiser move. Most regretful conversations begin with a reaction instead of intention. The calm mind knows the weight of speech. Once words leave your mouth, they can't be taken back. That's why the Stoics taught restraint, not because silence is always better, but because precision is. Thoughtful speech is control in action. Before speaking, filter your thoughts through 3 simple questions. First, is it true? Not emotionally true, factually true. Most of what people say is assumption, not knowledge. Ask yourself, do I know this, or do I think this? Calm people don't spread uncertainty. They only speak when reality supports them. That's how they keep credibility over time. Second, is it necessary? You don't need to say everything you think. The truth doesn't lose power in silence. Ask, will my words add clarity or just noise? In most arguments, people talk to protect their ego, not to move forward. The calm person saves their energy for what truly matters. Third, is it respectful? Respect doesn't mean softness. It means control. You can be direct without being cruel. Ask, will this help or harm the situation? Anger might win a moment, but it damages long-term influence. Calm people don't let emotion write their script. They choose their tone with care. These three filters, truth, necessity, respect, form the foundation of disciplined speech. They keep your words aligned with purpose. When you use them consistently, your communication changes. People start listening because you no longer waste their attention. In real life, this looks simple but powerful. At work, instead of reacting to criticism with defense, say, I hear your point, let me think about how to improve it. In conflict, instead of shouting, you never understand me, say, let's slow down, I want to make sure we're hearing each other. With yourself, instead of self-blame, ask, what can I learn from this before I speak again? Each version trades emotion for clarity. That's calm control in practice. Most people confuse speed with confidence, but talking fast is usually fear. Fear of silence, fear of judgment, fear of losing control. Calm people reverse that. They let silence do some of the work. A pause between thought and speech gives you space to choose accuracy over impulse. 1 second of pause can save a relationship, a job, or your reputation. You don't owe instant responses to anyone. Not every question requires an immediate answer. When someone pressures you to react, it's okay to say, let me think about that. Those 6 words buy you clarity. The loud rush to reply, the calm own their timing. Think of a surgeon. They don't rush just to appear confident. They move carefully, precisely, because they understand the cost of mistakes. Words work the same way. Every careless comment cuts deeper than you realize. Every measured response heals more than it seems. In leadership, speaking less but saying more creates authority. People trust calm voices that don't waste air. The leader who pauses before speaking commands more respect than the one who fills every silence. Calmness communicates certainty without aggression. When emotion rises, discipline your speech by lowering your tone and slowing your pace. Anger burns hot, but burns out fast. Stillness lasts. Say less, mean more. Control begins with the mouth. It's where chaos first escapes. Here's a simple framework you can use daily. Pause before every response, even 2 seconds. Filter with truth, necessity, and respect. Deliver with clarity, short, steady, and calm. If your words don't pass those tests, stay silent. There's power in restraint. You don't lose control by saying less, you gain it. Every calm person you admire, leaders, mentors, thinkers, they all share this one trait: deliberate speech. They know when to speak, how to speak, and when to hold silence like a shield. So before you say the next thing, stop and think. Ask yourself what outcome you want and whether your words will serve it. Because once they're spoken, they define you more than your thoughts ever will. Think before you speak, not to impress, but to stay in control. That's how calm becomes strength and restraint becomes power. Anger feels powerful. It makes your heart race, your voice rise, your body react. But underneath that surge is weakness, loss of control disguised as strength. The Stoics warned about it for centuries. No one is truly free while they're ruled by emotion. Everyone gets angry. The difference is what you do in that moment. Most people let the feeling drive their words and actions. Calm people don't. They let anger arrive, but not take the wheel. The truth is simple. Anger doesn't solve it, amplifies. It turns small issues into permanent damage. It ruins mornings, meetings, marriages. What felt urgent for 5 minutes can cost peace for weeks. You can't lead others or yourself if you can't lead your own reactions. Control starts with awareness. You can't stop what you don't notice. So when anger rises, practice a 4-step process. Delay, name, reframe, respond. 1. Delay. Don't react while the emotion is peaking. The first few seconds of anger are the most dangerous. That's when you say things you can't take back, send messages you'll regret, or make choices that undo months of effort. Instead, pause, step away, even for 30 seconds, breathe, give the chemical storm in your body time to pass. The goal isn't to suppress anger, it's to delay its command. Calm people know time cools every flame. 2. Name. Identify what you're actually feeling. Often anger is just a mask: hurt, disappointment, embarrassment, or fear wearing armor. Say to yourself, "I'm not furious, I'm frustrated." Naming it breaks its spell. Once you define it, it loses control over you. That's not denial, it's emotional precision. 3. Reframe. Ask questions that shift perspective. What else could this mean? What can I learn from this? Will this matter in a week? Reframing isn't weakness, it's leadership over your own thoughts. Most triggers shrink under wider perspective. Maybe the insult wasn't personal. Maybe the mistake was a lesson. Maybe silence is the best reply. Calm people win by refusing to fight battles that don't matter. 4. Respond. Only after the first 3 steps do you act or speak. By now, your words are no longer fueled by emotion, but guided by reason. Your tone lowers. Your sentences shorten. You say exactly what needs to be said, nothing more. That's how you stay in control while still standing your ground. This 4-step process works anywhere: workplace conflict, family tension, or even the chaos of daily life. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Delay. Don't let a stranger own your peace. A co-worker disrespects you. Name what you feel: irritation, not rage. A loved one snaps at you. Reframe. It might be stress, not betrayal. Then respond calm, firm, measured. The more you practice this, the faster your discipline grows. You begin to notice anger coming before it hits full force. That's when you gain real strength, the ability to remain still while others lose their composure. Anger feeds ego. It tells you, you're being disrespected, you must react. But calm doesn't need validation. You already know your value. You don't need to win every confrontation to keep your dignity. Let the noise pass. Every second you stay silent, your power increases. There's a reason people remember those who stay calm in chaos. They're rare. Most shout, few think. When you're the one who stays composed, you become the anchor in the storm. People trust you because your reactions are steady, not emotional. That's leadership, not passivity. The Stoics taught that anger punishes the person who carries it more than the one who caused it. You relive the moment, replay the words, rehearse the frustration. Meanwhile, the other person has already moved on. You're the only one still bleeding from a wound you keep reopening. So, protect your mind. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every offense deserves a response. Learn the difference between what disturbs you and what defines you. When anger tries to take over, slow it down. Delay, name, reframe, respond. Each step is a small act of control, a choice that separates the reactive from the wise. The calm person doesn't avoid conflict. They master timing. They know that silence today often achieves more than anger ever could. Because peace isn't surrender, it's strategy. And in a world that rewards loud reactions, calm will always look like power. People talk a lot about kindness, but not enough about limits. Boundaries aren't walls, they're lines of self-respect. You can't stay calm in a world that constantly pulls at you if you don't know where your limits are. Calm people understand this. They say no without guilt, and yes with intention. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. When you allow constant interruptions, they continue. When you accept disrespect, it repeats. When you always fix others' problems, they stop fixing their own. Boundaries don't push people away. They keep your peace from being stolen. Respect begins with clarity. You can't expect others to honor what you never defined. Ask yourself, what drains me? What feels unfair? What keeps me from focusing on what matters? Those answers reveal your limits. Once you see them, the next step is communication. Calm boundaries sound simple and firm, no long explanations, no guilt, just truth delivered with steadiness. I won't be available after work hours. I can't take that on right now. I value our relationship, but I need space to think. Short sentences, clear tone. You don't owe emotional justifications for protecting your peace. People who cross boundaries often aren't malicious, they're just used to access. You trained them that way. Changing it means retraining them through consistency, not anger. Every time you reinforce your limit calmly, you reset the standard. In workplaces, boundaries protect focus. You don't need to answer every email instantly or attend every meeting. Busyness isn't the same as value. Calm professionals know how to say, "Let's schedule this for tomorrow," or "I'll respond after I finish this priority." They trade chaos for clarity. That's how they stay effective under pressure. At home, boundaries build respect, not distance. You can love someone deeply and still say, "That tone isn't okay with me." You can care about your family without absorbing all their frustration. Calm love has structure. It doesn't collapse under guilt or emotional manipulation. When you set clear limits, people learn to meet you in balance, not demand. Respect also works both ways. If you want others to honor your boundaries, you must honor theirs. Don't interrupt when someone says they're unavailable. Don't expect emotional labor from people who are already carrying too much. Respect grows where control ends. The Stoics believed that peace comes from what you accept and what you refuse. Boundaries are the modern form of that principle. You accept responsibility for yourself, and you refuse what doesn't belong to you. Other people's anger, chaos, or urgency aren't yours to carry. You can witness it without absorbing it. Setting boundaries often feels uncomfortable at first because guilt disguises itself as kindness. You think saying no is rude, but saying yes to everything is self-betrayal. The calm person knows that peace built on pleasing everyone isn't peace, it's exhaustion with a smile. Here's a simple approach. Notice, name, communicate, reinforce. Notice what drains your energy or crosses your line. Name it clearly to yourself, define what's not acceptable. Communicate it directly and calmly, without emotional charge. Reinforce it every time it's tested. Consistency builds respect. No shouting, no over-explaining, just still firmness. People may resist at first. That's normal. Every change challenges their comfort, but if you stay steady, they adjust. Over time, your calm firmness earns respect, even from those who once pushed your limits. Boundaries also strengthen self-trust. Each time you enforce one, you tell yourself, "My peace matters." That message rewires how you live. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop chasing approval. You start living by your own values instead of others' expectations. Without boundaries, even good people become drained. Without limits, even love becomes resentment. Calm people understand this cycle, and they break it early. They don't wait for burnout or bitterness, they act when they first feel imbalance. In the end, boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about keeping your self-respect in. You can't live with calm control if you're always at the mercy of others' demands. Saying no to chaos is saying yes to clarity. Saying no to disrespect is saying yes to dignity. You can't control how others behave, but you can control what you allow. And that quiet discipline, practiced daily, turns into a kind of peace that doesn't need defending. That's what real respect looks like: calm, steady, and earned through limits that never need to be loud. Observation is not hesitation, it's intelligence at work. Calm people don't act slowly, they act after they've seen enough. Most mistakes in life come from moving before you understand what's happening. Observation gives you that understanding. It's not delay, it's data. The Stoics taught that perception is everything. What you see determines how you respond. But most people don't really see, they assume. They rush, react, and regret. The calm person steps back for a moment, not because they're unsure, but because they want the full picture before they move. There are 5 signs worth observing before you act. 1. The tone, not just the words. In any conversation, the truth hides in tone. Someone says, "I'm fine," but their voice tightens. A coworker agrees too quickly. A partner pauses before answering. These are small signals that reveal real emotion. If you act only on words, you miss the truth. Calm people read tone first. They know emotion often speaks louder than logic. 2. The pattern, not the moment. One incident rarely defines a situation, but patterns do. Don't judge someone or yourself based on one mistake or one mood. Observe the rhythm. Does this happen repeatedly? Is it habit or just a reaction? When you focus on patterns, you stop overreacting to moments. That's how you make fair, balanced decisions. 3. The environment, not just the event. Context matters. A problem at work might not be about you. It might be stress from the team, bad timing, or unclear leadership. Before you act, ask, what's influencing this situation right now? Many conflicts disappear when you realize they're environmental, not personal. Calm people don't personalize everything, they analyze the setting first. 4. The emotion, not just the trigger. When you feel anger, anxiety, or impatience, don't immediately follow it. Observe it. Ask, what's this emotion trying to tell me? Often, emotion is just a signal: fear of loss, need for respect, or lack of control. By naming the emotion, you separate it from the decision. You stop reacting from it and start deciding around it. 5. The outcome, not the impulse. Every action leads somewhere. Before you move, pause and project. If I do this, what happens next? This simple question filters short-term emotion through long-term consequence. Calm people play the tape forward. They act with foresight, not frustration. Observation doesn't mean inaction. It means waiting until clarity appears. But there's a point where observing must become doing. The key is knowing the threshold when the situation is clear enough to move. You reach that point when 3 conditions align. You understand the facts, not just feelings. You see the broader pattern, not the single event. You know what outcome you want. When those align, act calmly, directly, without hesitation, because then your move is guided by reason, not reaction. The goal isn't to stay frozen, it's to move with accuracy. In practice, this looks like leadership. When a team conflict breaks out, the reactive manager blames or fixes too soon. The calm one observes, listens, takes notes, notices who's defensive and who's quiet. Then, when they finally speak, their words are targeted, they know what's actually wrong. That's not passivity, that's precision. In relationships, observation prevents escalation. You notice your partner's frustration rising. Instead of snapping back, you observe their breathing, their tone. You realize they're not attacking you, just touched a sensitive topic. You stay calm, redirect, and save the moment. That's control in action. Observation also reveals opportunity. When everyone else rushes to respond, the calm observer sees what others miss: the gap. the timing, the solution. Stillness gives you vision. In a noisy world, seeing clearly becomes a competitive edge. To live this way, you must train your awareness. Watch people. Watch your own mind. Notice what changes when emotion enters the room. Notice how silence makes others uncomfortable. Notice what truth hides behind overreaction. Every detail tells a story if you're patient enough to read it. And when the time to act arrives, act decisively. Observation without action is wasted clarity. Action without observation is chaos. The balance of the two, seeing clearly, then moving cleanly, is what calm mastery looks like. So before you act, pause, look, listen, ask, think, not because you fear mistakes, but because you value accuracy. Then, when the picture is clear, move once calmly, confidently, completely. That's how you stay steady while the world rushes. You don't move first, you move right. You can't change what already happened. You can only decide what it means from this point forward. The past doesn't disappear, it just waits for you to stop feeding it. Calm people understand this. They don't chase closure in memory. They create clarity in the present. Letting go isn't emotional therapy. It's a discipline, a mental habit of refusing to give energy to what no longer serves you. Every minute spent replaying an old mistake, an old argument, or an old loss steals focus from what still matters. The Stoics didn't ask how to feel better about the past. They asked how to stop letting it run the present. There are 3 choices you can make today to end the loop. 1. Decide what stays. You can't erase memory, but you can edit meaning. Not every event deserves a permanent place in your mind. Choose what's worth keeping. Ask yourself, does this memory teach me something or just hurt me? If it teaches, keep the lesson. If it only hurts, let it fade. You can honor what happened without dragging it everywhere you go. Calm people don't deny their history, they distill it. They take the truth, leave the emotion, and move forward lighter. Think of it like carrying a backpack. Every mistake, every betrayal, every regret adds weight. You can't walk far with a full load, so empty what's useless. You can't control who caused the pain, but you can control how long you keep carrying it. 2. Decide where to focus. The mind goes where attention goes. If you keep staring at the past, life keeps happening without you. Shift focus deliberately to what you can influence, to what's alive right now. Ask, what requires my energy today? What deserves it? That single question reclaims your present moment. The calm person practices focus like training a muscle. When the past tries to intrude, they redirect every time, not with guilt or resistance, but with clarity. This thought belongs to yesterday. My job is now. That's how you break the pattern. You don't argue with old memories, you starve them. What you stop feeding eventually stops following you. 3. Decide how far to let thoughts go. The past will always knock. It's not about stopping the thought, it's about setting boundaries for it. Give it limits. You can tell yourself, I can think about this for 5 minutes, then I move on. Or, if it doesn't help my next step, it doesn't deserve my attention. These mental boundaries turn reflection into control. Without them, reflection becomes obsession. The calm person doesn't let thoughts wander without direction. They know rumination is just emotion on repeat. Thinking about the past doesn't fix it, it just reopens it. So they set clear rules. No late-night self-interrogation, no imaginary debates, no rewriting history. That's not cold, it's efficient. Peace requires order, even in thought. Letting go is not forgetting, it's remembering without reliving. When you let go, you stop reacting to memories as if they're happening again. You stop giving the past permission to keep shaping who you are today. pain loses power when it meets perspective. The Stoics said it simply: what's done is done. The wise accept it fully and focus on what's still within reach. You can't fix what's over, but you can stop letting it dictate how you show up now. That's where calm begins, not in erasing, but in separating what's real from what's over. Letting go is also about identity. Many people keep their wounds because they've built stories around them. The person who was wronged, the one who failed, the one who lost everything. Calm people rewrite that story. They decide, that happened to me, but it doesn't define me. The past becomes a chapter, not the whole book. In real life, this practice looks simple. When a regret appears, ask, what does this teach me right now? When an old hurt returns, say, that's finished, I'm here. When nostalgia tempts you, remind yourself, the present is where life still happens. These are not affirmations, they're commands. They retrain your brain to stay disciplined in time. Because peace doesn't come from forgetting, it comes from deciding where your mind is allowed to live. The past has no power unless you visit it. You don't have to burn bridges behind you, just stop walking backward across them. The calm person doesn't escape history, they outgrow it. So, let go, not for forgiveness, not for comfort, for control. Every time you stop replaying what's over, you strengthen what's still possible. And that's where calm power lives, not in what was, but in what you choose to see now. Stillness is not inaction, it's controlled energy. In a world that rewards noise, stillness looks like weakness, but it's the opposite. It's power without panic. The calm person doesn't move slower than others, they move when it matters. Stillness isn't about doing nothing, it's about doing only what's essential. It's clarity in motion. Most people react to every headline, every comment, every problem that doesn't belong to them. The calm person filters all of it. They know not every fire deserves water, not every noise deserves attention. The Stoics saw stillness as strength because it separates action from reaction. When you pause, you gain distance. Distance brings perspective. Perspective brings accuracy. You stop swinging wildly at every challenge and start choosing where to strike. The power of stillness shows up in daily life. In a meeting where everyone's talking over each other, the calm one listens. When they finally speak, people notice because silence made their words heavier. In an argument, the calm person doesn't match volume, they lower it. That shift resets the entire tone. In chaos, they don't freeze, they focus. They're the anchor in the room while everyone else drifts. Stillness trains clarity under pressure. It's not about shutting out the world, but about holding your ground inside it. You can't control the storm, but you can control your stance. That's what separates stability from survival. The calm mind works like a lens. It sharpens what matters and blurs what doesn't. Every time you choose stillness, you trade noise for precision. You stop wasting strength on things that can't be changed. You start investing it where it counts. People mistake restlessness for productivity, but constant movement doesn't mean progress. You can run in circles and go nowhere. Stillness isn't laziness, it's focus. It's knowing when to pause so the next move lands with force. Here's the simple logic. What's done in stillness lasts longer. Decisions made in rush require repair. Words said in anger need apology. Actions driven by ego demand cleanup. Calm people avoid all that. They pause, they think, they move once, cleanly, and rarely need to repeat themselves. Stillness also protects energy. Every reaction drains you. Every unnecessary opinion you chase, every conflict you engage, costs mental fuel. The calm person saves it. They know strength isn't measured by how much you fight, but by how little you need to. There's a discipline behind stillness. It's choosing not to be baited. It's refusing to let other people's emotions dictate yours. It's knowing when to say nothing because silence itself communicates confidence. Stillness sharpens intuition. When you stop reacting, patterns become visible. You see motives, timing, and truth that the restless miss. You start recognizing what deserves action and what deserves observation. This is how calm becomes strategy. In practice, building stillness starts small. Wake up without reaching for your phone. Drive without turning on the radio. Pause before answering a question. Each of these trains your mind to function without external noise. Over time, you stop chasing distractions because peace feels more valuable than stimulation. Stillness doesn't make life easy, it makes it clear. The calm person doesn't control outcomes, they control their inputs. They speak less, react slower, decide cleaner. That's the quiet advantage: less chaos, more direction. In moments of crisis, stillness becomes visible power. When others panic, you remain composed. You don't mirror fear, you manage it. And in that control, people trust you. Because stillness under stress signals strength. The world keeps speeding up. More information, more opinions, more demands. You can't slow the world, but you can refuse to move at its pace. The strong don't rush to keep up. They stay centered, act deliberately, and let noise burn itself out. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it's movement without waste. It's strength without noise. It's control without display. So, stay still, not to escape life, but to master it. Because in the end, true strength doesn't shout. It stands, quiet, focused, unshaken.